The following takes place sometime before the release of the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer. Events occur in real time.
It's time to talk about Season 5 of 24, which in my opinion is the best season of 24 in history. Yeah, I changed the hat up. It's getting pretty cold outside and I just wanted to get something that makes my ears a little bit more warm. I've still got the Superman symbol on the hat, so it still works. On my planet, it's not an S. It stands for sex. Season 5 takes place a year and a half after Season 4. We all know the story at the end of Season 4. Chinese were after Jack. David Palmer, Michelle Dessler, Tony Almeida, and Chloe O'Brien helped Jack fake his death so that he could escape. A year and a half later, this season comes out swinging. And when I say swinging, I mean blah! This season comes out and immediately tugs at your heart and your feelings and your adrenaline and your emotion, and it just hits the ground running. In the first few minutes of Season 5, David Palmer is assassinated. David fucking Palmer is killed, right? Yeah, blah. Not only that, Michelle and Tony are living suburban life and they get targeted and Michelle is killed. God damn. Right off the bat, they're killing characters that I have an emotional attachment to. So right off the bat, I am emotionally invested in this season more than I have been invested in any of the other ones. Jack ultimately is framed for their deaths and he is drawn out of hiding to try to figure out who killed them, to figure out who's trying to set him up, and to basically get to the bottom of a conspiracy that eventually leads to the top of the fucking government. While this is happening, there is a terrorist threat that comes in the form of Russian separatists led by a man named Vladimir Bierko. Vladimir Bierko is a man who is in possession of some Syntox nerve gas. Yeah, basically take the nuclear threat of Season 2 and you mix it with like the biological threat of Season 3 and yeah, you pretty much got Syntox nerve gas. It could kill a lot of people, basically. I want to touch real briefly on a character that I didn't get a chance to talk about that much in Season 4, and that is Bill Buchanan. Bill Buchanan is such an awesome character. He is the head of CTU. He's basically in Jack and Tony's old position. And in my opinion, hands down, he's the best director of CTU that CTU ever had. This guy has such a commanding, calming presence to him. He's not David Palmer in terms of, yeah, righteous fury. But he's a guy that you can get behind. He's a guy you can believe in. He sounds focused. He's a guy that knows how to get the job done. And he's a guy that doesn't try to stand in the way of any potential lead or any potential follow-up. He's a guy that's very smart and listens to all of his people and puts them in the best position to be successful. And that's what you want out of any boss. Bill Buchanan is awesome. He's one of the best characters the show's ever had, and he is the best director of CTU ever. He was great in this season. He also meets his future wife later on in the season. So he does have some personal story going on for him too. As far as Jack goes in this season, this is probably one of Kiefer Sutherland's best performances as Jack Bauer. He's been great in the other 4 seasons, don't get me wrong. In this season, he's his usual patriotic self. Once he gets drawn back out of hiding, out of faking his own death, he has to basically confront all the issues that come with that. He has to come back into contact with Audrey and his daughter, which we will get to at a later date in this video. He's his usual relentless, brutal self that he's always been. This time, there's kind of a seething rage to Jack's actions this season. It's kind of like there's kind of this simmering undercurrent of anger that's fueling him this season. And you can definitely tell why. David Palmer and Michelle Dessler, and eventually Tony Almeida, oh God, are all killed and taken out, and if it weren't for him, Chloe would have died in the first episode too. He ends up saving her life. Jack isn't just a man on a mission, he is a man with a vengeful mission. He's a man with a purpose. And that really does sink into you, the viewer, as you're watching Jack traverse along this season. As he gets to the bottom of this conspiracy, he starts discovering that there are people inside the government who are working with these terrorists and in fact have helped them at different points. This is a Jack that more than anything doesn't just want revenge. He wants justice and he is willing to kill every goddamn body to do it. Vladimir Bierko is a really good villain, and another really good villain this season introduced to us is Christopher Henderson. Henderson is a former mentor of Jack's. He used to run CTU. He's the guy who recruited Jack into CTU. They had a falling out a few years ago, but now Christopher Henderson reemerges as a suspect during CTU's investigation, where they're trying to find out what happened to the Syntox nerve gas. Christopher Henderson is a great villain. You can definitely tell there is some history there between him and Jack. You can also tell that he's a patriot and he believes in what he's doing. And he is a really great addition to this season. He would probably be one of the best villains in 24 history if it weren't for that Charles Logan guy. Speaking of Charles Logan, holy shit. Yeah, Vladimir Bierko isn't the villain of this season. Christopher Henderson isn't the big bad of this season. The big bad is Charles fucking Logan. I mentioned him in season 4, but I didn't talk about him that much because I knew that this day would come. I I knew that eventually we would talk about the slimiest, most scumbag president in the history of 24. Charles Logan is the greatest villain 24 has ever had, hands down in my opinion. This dude is greasy slime ball, he's disgusting, such a pathological liar. He's a weasel, a punk, a coward, a bitch, a sniveling little pussycat. And I fucking love him. I loved every minute of it. Gregory Itzkin brings such a humanity and a complexity to his performance. He's a villain, but he's a very flawed villain. And by that, he's a very flawed man. And immediately that makes you gravitate toward him even as you hate him. Charles Logan is one of those characters that I hate so much. I hate him as a character. But I also love him. I love him as a villain because he makes you hate him, but he also makes you invested. He steals almost every scene that he's in. So does his wife too, the First Lady Martha Logan, played by Jean Smart. She gives a really great performance too. In fact, she gives one of the best performances of the entire season. She has mental problems and she comes off as a little bit crazy sometimes, but you can definitely tell that she brings her A game more than almost any other actor on the show besides Kiefer Sutherland. She was great. There are so many emotional highs and lows this season. This season really hits you. It really puts you through it. It's not just the heart-pounding excitement. It's the fact that this season, more than any other, hits you right in the fucking feels. I felt like somebody was playing acupuncture with my heart, like just a needle here and a needle there and just die, die, die. I'm serious. I felt so many times during the season I wanted to cry because characters I'm connected to ended up dying right in front of my eyes. Palmer dies, Michelle Dessler dies, Tony eventually appears to die in CTU. Fucking Edgar! Someone is able to sneak some syntax nerve gas into CTU and Edgar dies as a result of this shit, and it's like, no, not Edgar. They killed Edgar's lame ass? Shit! Later on in the season, when Jack corners Christopher Henderson after a mission, and he's able to gun down Christopher Henderson, a man who was very instrumental in orchestrating the deaths of all of these other people, you feel it. You feel satisfaction. You feel happy. You feel, yes, you want it to happen, and you're rooting for it to happen. Action in the season is just as great as it's always ever been. There's a great action sequence where Jack has to have a one-on-one fight with an assassin inside CTU. There's the submarine sequence later on in the season where he and Christopher Henderson and a team of CTU agents have to infiltrate a submarine to stop the syntax nerve gas from being launched via missiles. Side note, this is also the official debut of the Jack Sack. You guys don't know what the Jack Sack is? I'm pretty sure it's the official debut of the Jack Sack. I don't think I had seen it before this season, but this definitely is where the Jack Sack is featured. And that's pretty much Jack's little CTU fanny pack. On anyone else, the CTU fanny pack looks womanly. It looks kind of, you know, nerdy hipster or whatever. But on Jack, for some reason, it looks manly and badass. And I just want that Jack Sack. Boy, that didn't sound right, but you guys should know what I meant. It's kind of like Batman's utility belt. Batman's utility belt to him is kind of what Jack's Jack Sack is to him. It's pretty much the same principle. There is only a couple of issues I have with this season. One of them is Kim fucking Bauer. Jack comes back from the dead. He has to basically reconcile with Kim, or at least attempt to. Once again, for like the 4th time in 5 seasons, she has another boyfriend. At this point, I would just drop Kim into a volcano and piss on her. I hate Kim so fucking much. Her role pretty much this season is pretty much, well, it's all your fault. Everything is your fault, Dad, and I'm not angry with you, but everything is your fault, and I want nothing to do with you, and everything is your fault. Why didn't you tell me? You're a bastard. Fuck you. Fuck you! Are you kidding me, you self-entitled... Ooh! I've never had a character in the history of any TV show that I've ever watched that I simultaneously wanted to fuck and strangle at the same time. I wouldn't mind hitting her upside the head with something, but I also wouldn't mind if she was standing naked in front of me, so it's kind of a complicated emotion. But Kim... done. Season also ends on another cliffhanger. The Chinese from season 4 are able to catch up to Jack in this season. They get him at the end just when you think it's a happy ending. Charles Logan gets put away. I mean, it's happy. He's reunited with Audrey. They get to make sweet love tonight. It's all good. And then the Chinese grab him, and Chang is basically like, yeah, your life for the next 2 years is gonna fucking suck. Once again, Jack doesn't get a happy ending. He's stuck on some Chinese ship heading to Shanghai. Nobody knows where he is, and that is literally how the season ends. This season kills off major characters. The writing has never been better. The adrenaline, the action, the acting, the performances. Hell, it even seemed like the music was better in the season for some reason. Season 5 to me isn't just the best season of 24, it's arguably one of the best seasons of anything I've ever seen. Everything is at an all-time high. To me, this was the high point in the series. I don't think it could ever get better than season 5. As a result, this is abso-fucking-lutely going to get the Superman Prime rating. I love everything about this season. Alright guys, that's my review for season 5. Stay tuned, season 6 is in a couple of weeks. Comment, like, share, let me know what your favorite moment of season 5 was. As always, if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.
Last season, he staged his own death to stay alive. Now, what could possibly bring America's most dangerous counter-terrorist agent out of hiding?
What's going on here, Frank?
My name's not Frank. It's Jack Bauer.